Happy Saturday, everybody, and welcome to Woodcraft. Today we're going to talk about what do you do when you buy a hand plane and you take it from the box. Is it ready to go right from the box, or should you prepare it some way? And the answer, of course, is you should prepare it in some way. So I'm going to take you through this so that in just a couple of minutes, this will be producing nice, fluffy shavings for us. So what we find when we unbox this is a very nice hand plane wrapped in bubble wrap and plastic. Now this came from overseas, and this is covered with anti-rusting agents. So this is pretty yucky right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean this up. To clean it up, what we want to do is take this apart. This is the frog. We're going to take the frog and pop this up here. If it won't go, that means this is on too tight. That's where we keep our flat-bladed screwdriver. We turn this screw, and now she goes. So we'll have to adjust this properly and clean this off too. I can see stuff on this. This is the blade and the chip breaker, and they're attached together. That piece of paper was it so it didn't get marked, and this is just oozing with all kinds of junk. So what we want to do here is lightly turn the screw. Again, flat-bladed screwdriver is what we want for this. Don't need to take it all the way, just need to take it out enough so that it slides. And here we go. Chip breaker, blade. And this is the base. This is based on the Stanley plane design, and it does a very good job. As far as the handles, we just want to make sure that they're nice and tight. They don't wiggle. If there's a little wiggle like this one, we're going to take our screwdriver, just give it a little tighten. We don't want to over tighten it. We just want to stop the wiggle. And there we go. This one's looking good. Looking at the bottom. So what we want to do now is we want to clean all this stuff. To clean it, we want mineral spirits. And when I say cleaning, all we're doing is taking off the anti-rust agent that comes with this. All we just need is a nice cloth. Now, these type of planes, Wood River and a lot of these modern planes, you really don't need to check to make sure that the bottom is flat. They do it at the factory. They do a very, very good job at it. You can if you want to, but I haven't had any problem with the modern type of planes. So there's the outside. Again, and coming here on the inside, you want to get this base cleaned off. Remember, this is set up at the factory, so you shouldn't have to do any major setting changes. You just should check to see if these are tight. Make sure that there's no grease here or here. We want to look at the throat, and this opening right here is no obvious abrasions or burrs that we can see. So that one's done. Now notice that if there's no blade in here, I can set the plane like this. If there is a blade poking out, you never want to set it. You always want to set it to the side. Or in my shop, I've got a place on the bench that they're held just like this. So there's no pressure on that blade. But for right now, we're good. So I'll keep going. Now we're going to do the chip breaker. Same thing. We're going to get a little bit more mineral spirits. Can't have too much of this stuff. And we're going to wipe this down really well. Now, even though this is a chip breaker, and it's not a knife, you can cut the snot out of yourself at this end, so be very, very careful. We want to do this. And then I want to look at this chip breaker here and see that it looks good. It does. If this was really beat up, we could take it on a stone. But what we're going to do instead is we are going to take the burr off this with the leather strop like we're going to do for the knife itself. Again, very sharp, be careful. This is our knife, our cutting blade. This is a number 4 plane. If they're whole numbers, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then the blades are going to be 2 inches wide. If there are numbers with a half behind them, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5, 7.5, those blades are going to be 2.5 inches wide and a little bit thicker. So if you are going to be using this against really, really heavy stock, really dense, thick stock, you might want to consider the planes that have that half in it because the blades are a little bit wider and a little bit thicker, so you don't get the chattering as much. So again, all we're doing right now is just cleaning off anti-rusting agent. And anytime I see a screw, we look at that and that's good to go. Nice and tight. This is moving well. And what this does is you pull this, it forces this up, and that's what holds everything together. So if you've ever had that screw on here so tight that this won't go up, just back up that screw a little bit and it'll lock in very nicely. That's all you need. So what we want to do now is just do some more dressing. The first thing we want to do is we want to take a leather strop. It needs to be leather. You need a good honing compound. Basically, all you're going to do, you don't need much. This has got way more, but all you're going to do is take it, and you're just going to make squiggly lines like this. What we're doing is we are removing burrs and extra metal. If you can imagine that my hand is the blade, and this is the sharpening stone. As sharpening, some of this metal actually curls up. And that's what gives you the burr. And the problem with this, if you don't take the burr out, if it's sitting over there and you go pressing wood, it'll collapse right back over the edge and you go instantly dull. If you're in trouble keeping your knives sharp, it's because of that burr. It's really easy to do. The first thing we're going to do is put the blade flat and one pull. Now we want to do this top part. And the easiest way to do that is to lift up this until I establish the bevel. There's the bevel here. And now I just pull straight back this way. Forward. If you forward, you're going to slice the leather with this really, really sharp knife. Yeah. And I like to do about 5 or 6 pulls. If it shaves. It does. One more pull. Now, if you're going to put a micro bevel in, this is the time to do it. The only thing a micro bevel is, if this bevel and this is 25 degrees, I would lift this up a little bit more, make one about 28 degrees, and then sharpening in the future, the only thing I would have to sharpen is the micro bevel. And I've raised a burr here, so we'll make the burr go away. Okay, this is ready. Now on the chip breaker, we're not sharpening this, but I just want to make that nice and polished. So any burrs that are here, I'm just going to take the burr away. I'm not really sharpening this as a knife, just want a nice there we go. So now we put this back on. This is going to be beveled down. Now the chip breaker goes behind the knife edge, and I like to put it around a 1/16 to a 32nd of an inch behind the knife edge. And the reason that is because it does a much better job in lifting the debris from the knife edge, and it does an easy job of sharpening. Now I'll tighten this screw down by hand. good to go. So what we've got is about a 1/16 of an inch right here. Now we're going to set it back into the base. And if you look at the base, this adjusts our side to side. And what it's going to do, it's going to ride right in this space here. This little part here is going to be right in this little space here. So it's going to ride inside this. This little is going to go right there. And it clips in, and it's very easy. Now, what we've got here is just the perfect setup. This is in the middle. This is straight down. That's where it's supposed to be, nice and tight. This is here. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to adjust the frog. And how we go about that is we want, and it should go just like that. Not too hard, not too soft, locks it in place. This is going to keep this whole assembly. If you need to make it a little bit tighter, then you'd open this up, give that about 1/8 of a turn, lock it, be good to go. So now, since we had this sitting on a base, we're going to cut with it. To cut with it, I've got this board right here with this terrible rough edge. We want to smooth this out so we can join it with other boards and make a big plank. And now there's no cutting because we haven't adjusted it. To adjust it, to bring it out, we're going to turn this wheel here. And you're going to find that what I'm looking for really right now isn't how much this is poking out. I'm looking at the space, this open space right here. As the blade goes out, that space is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's what we want. Okay, it's just starting to come out. When you plane, most would want to try to start this way. It's actually better to plane it across like this. These are our shavings. And these are a little thick for what I like. So I'm going to turn this the other way. Now when I turn it the other way, for a couple turns it's very loose and then it'll kick in. That's just the play. So we're going to give it a... Now we'll try this again. What I should be seeing is I should be seeing a full cut from side to side. And again, I think we can do it a little fluffier. Now be careful with this because this is really, really sharp. How do you know you're turning the right way? Well, if you start to turn it, it's real loose, you mean to turn it the other way. So I'm bringing the blade in a little bit. Getting better. I like little fluffy shavings. What should be. Now, if you do this at an angle, you'll find that you can get stuff like this. Carpenters in the colonial times, and a little bit before, a little bit after, would plane these big boards and they would save all this stuff. And these became fire starters. You light the pipe, light the whatever it is, you put it in a fire, use it, and throw it away. These things in those houses, they just take these and open them up. So let's just get this. When I'm holding it, I'm standing here, my arms are staying with my body. My body's moving. So this is what you want, just like that. Again, How big a chunk you take off is all up to you. But we started with an edge that looked like this, and now we've got an edge that looks like this. So hand work is really nice. Another thing I like about hand planes and hand work is the fact that it's very quiet in here. There's no machines. There was no large amounts of dust in the air, because you're not making large amounts of dust. You are just you in the machine, or the hand tools, I should say. Yeah. I'll go back the other way. And so we can dial in pretty fine. And this is what I mean by fluffy shavings. Whoops, don't do that. Shavings so thin, you can almost read through them. In fact, I can see my finger through them. It's that thin. Nice, fluffy shavings. And that's what you want. Ideally, that's what you want. It's much better to take 10 passes with fluffy shavings than one pass with a really thick. It's easier on the tool, it's easier on the wood, and it's much, much easier on you. Plus, in addition to making a nice, absolutely flat edge for joining, you can take it to 45 and you can chamfer. The sharp edges are bad because people will, you can't. Just a nice. And doing this with a really sharp blade is effortless. So, what we've learned today is, out of the box on a hand plane, there are some things that you have to do. They're not hard. Basically, it's cleaning it, the blade itself, so it cuts in fluffy shavings, making the chip breaker is nice, cleaning everything up. Now, is there anything else we can do with this? Well, yes. We've taken off all the rust prevention. We also found out that I'm pushing this and it's sliding along that wood, and here you can see the marks of the wood on the base. You use paste wax, non-silicone paste wax. This is a product we sell called Glide Coat, and this is a surface lubricant. And all I do is I spray it everywhere. And you can wipe it off. If you're going to wipe it off this way, you always walk in this direction, because if you do this direction, you cut yourself. Now, you don't have to wipe it off if you don't want to. It's good either way. I like to wipe off the excess so it doesn't drip. And now when we store this, we store it on the side, but it is ready to go. So that's how you do it. You need, let's do this instead. You need mineral spirits. You need a rag. You need a slotted screwdriver. Leather for honing with a honing compound. And if you want to put a nice coat on it so that you don't have to worry about rust, and you can also spray this stuff into here. It's not going to hurt anything. Either Glide Coat like this, or you can use, I use a paste wax. It does a good job. Month I will lubricate my hand tools. I just have a day of sharpening, day of lubrication, making sure everything's up, and that way you stop rust from forming. It's much easier to stop rust than it is to clean rust up. But that's it. These are great tools. I love handwork. I will chop up boards with a table saw in a heartbeat. The final fit and finish hand tools to really get something that is just razor sharp. You can join two pieces of wood together. What I would do for two pieces of wood is I would actually take the two pieces, put them like this so that they're even, and plane them both, and that way when I flip them this way they fit perfect. So thank you very much. Come by to Woodcraft. Bye-bye.